Okay, I thought I'd bring you out and show you one of the more fun plants of the healing world here, and this is bouncing bet. And let's see if we'll do a quick description of bouncing bet here. Bouncing bet has these, they're like tubular flowers, and I picked these ones here because when they go to seed you can really see the tube part of them, and then they have this little white 5-petal flower. I shouldn't say white. It goes from white to a bright purple, and usually they're 5 petals. Some of these are, the petals have really worn off, but you can get anyway. Here's some that are slightly more pink. They come in different colors like this. They tend to have a darker colored stem, usually purple, and their leaves, depending on where you look at them, are anywhere from lance-like like this to they have a kind of like a little jog out. I call them lamb's ears at the top, where they'll have little ears that come off of them, and they all come off of an axis. Let's do this opposite from each other, so they're opposite leaves. These are along, I'm right here on the side of a country road here. If you live in the eastern part of the United States, you have these things growing on the side of your road. And bouncing bet gets its name from, used to be women that did the washing. They washed in the town square or the town river or the town fountain, wherever there was water. So on certain days, the town allowed the women to come in and wash, and these women were often called Betties. The washerwomen were called Betties, and they would come into town and they would wash, and you washed on like washboards if you were rich. If you weren't rich, you washed on rocks. They would, or even women's legs, they would just take and run the clothing up and down their legs, and they were, because there was this up and down motion, they were often said that they bounced, and so they were called bouncing Betties, and those were your washerwomen. And what bouncing bet is it contains what are called saponins, and sapification is where the word soap comes from, and saponins are plant-based chemicals that have a suds to them, and this is an excellent form of washing. It's very, very gentle on your skin, so if you have sensitive skin, it's very good for that. And what I use it for, and that's what I have been collecting it for, I collect it, dry it, and then I use it to wash my wool, because it's very gentle, so it doesn't strip all the lanolin out of the wool, so it leaves it a little bit less harsh, and so that's what I use it for. It is one of the better detergents. This is not a soap. Soap is a chemical process between fat, lye, and water, and that most of what most people wash with nowadays are detergents. They're chemicals that are left over from making war materials that the chemical companies all slap together and sell you for a more expensive cost for chemicals that, put together in a different way, were actually used to kill people in World War I and World War II. And this is a plant-based chemical that's very gentle. You can use it internally, but it makes you vomit, and that's what it's meant for, is to make you vomit. So if you've taken something internally that you probably want to get rid of, you can make a tea of this, a strong tea, and it'll make you vomit. I myself would stick with Ipecac, but it can be used that way. But it is an external medicine for things like not for actually curing poison ivy, but after you get poison ivy, if you've had a very, very bad case of it, the skin has been damaged and it needs to be treated very gently to heal, and you use it for that. Any damaged skin, it washes it and keeps it from it keeps it from being damaged more. It keeps it from being dried out. It just for poison ivy, you're going to want to use something like tannins, your oak bark, and of course your nature's cortisone, which is jewelweed. But after the poison ivy part is gone, all you've got left is the damaged skin from the rash, and that's what this is meant for. Any kind of damaged skin, even eczema, it can help keep the skin from being damaged further. And I'm going to take some of this and take it home and show you why it gets its name, bouncing bat. Another name for it is soapwort. Wort is just old English word for plant. So soap plant is what it is. And it grows, this here is out in the sun, and if you if you hear people talking, you know, if you read about it or everything, that's what they say it grows in, and that's where you usually do find it, is out in the sun. But I laugh because I don't think plants like to listen to the rules we human beings put on them, and so I see them growing in the shade. If you want a lot more of the purple flowers, the more brightly colored flowers, which doesn't make any difference in the healing process, but you tend to find them closer to shade areas. So I'm going to pick some of this, take it home, and show you how to work with it, which is very simple to work with it. It's one of the easier medicinal plants. It's a topical as opposed to internal for the most part, and so unless if you have an allergy to it, which I've never even ever heard of, but of course the minute I say that, somebody will come in and say, oh yeah, so my second cousin's best friend's uncle's sister is allergic to it. So there seems to be an allergy to everything nowadays. But I'm going to take this home and show you how it works. You take the whole plant. Again, I just dry it, and then I can use it to wash my wool later on because it's a nice, gentle detergent, natural-based detergent. So I'm going to get a few of these, and I will... but if you live in the eastern part of the United States, my mind is wandering today. If you live in the eastern part of the United States, you're going to drive by this stuff on the road. It comes out mid-July to mid-August usually. Here in Wisconsin, so maybe if you live a little further south, it might come out a little earlier. And I've seen it in deserts. I've seen it in the Dakotas and even into Wyoming, but not much. On the East Coast, you basically just see it everywhere. If you live out west and you have yucca does the same thing. It contains the saponins that you can use the same way for this, for washing. You can use it to wash your hands. It just is a much more gentle, and I don't want to use the word soap because that's incorrect, but that's the way most people see it as. It's a much more gentle soap than most chemical detergents that you can buy in the store. So, like I said, I'm going to take this home and show you how to use it because it's really easy to use, but I'll show you how. So here we have the bouncing bat. We have the aerial or the above ground part here, and over here we have the root. Now the root I take off, I wash just in very, very cold water, the coldest water I can handle with my hands, and wash it very quickly to get as much of the dirt off as possible, and then I dry it, put it on a towel, dry it to get the water off because that water is pulling the saponins out, and we want to do that as little as possible. And then I just air dry this. I just basically stick it on like a window screen and let it dry. I don't dehydrate it. I just let the air dry it. Now this is not something, because this has no food value, so you don't have to worry about it. If you want to dry it in direct sun and dry it really quickly, that's fine. If you were going to eat something, of course you want to dry it out of the sun because the sun starts breaking down the food value. But then this is what I will keep this, and I have a ton more of this stuff, but this is what I will keep after it's dry. I put it in a jar and just keep it with a thing that says bouncing bat on it, and when I need to wash wool, I'll come out and get some of these roots, chop them up and stick them in cool water and wash my wool. So that's, anyway, the root, that's what I'm going to dry, and then keep that and add it to my already stash. And these are the aerial parts. Aerial parts I use now. Now you can do this in 2 or 3 different ways. You can literally make a mild liquid soap by making tea out of this. Boiling up some water, pouring it over the plant material, and leaving it set overnight, straining out the plant material, and the water that's left is basically a very, very mild liquid soap. You want to use, this water came from my rain barrels. You want to use soft water because any minerals in the water are going to make it a little bit harder to get the suds going and release the saponins from the plant. So, but I'm just going to show you here as a demonstration. The other thing you can literally do is just take the above ground plant, or the below ground plant. You can use the root for this too. But take the plant, stick it in the water. You'll start seeing the suds here pretty soon. I'm trying to not make too big of a mess. Ask her to make a mess. You know how to clean up a mess. But you can kind of see how it's starting to suds up. And then you take that, the plant material and everything, and just wash your hands with it like you're scrubbing with a bar of soap, except you're scrubbing with the plant material. If you're washing clothes, you just scrub the plant material up and down the clothes and use the water as well. But you can see here, the water, it does get a slight, as you're using, the more and more and more of this you use, the water will get a slight green color to it. Like when I'm washing, if I wash wool with the above ground plant, part of the plant, there does get a slight green color to the water. It's never come off on any wool or any material that I've ever used though, so like you don't suddenly go, oh, why does this wool have a slight green color to it? Let's wipe this up here, thank you. So anyway, this like I said, it's just, that's what it was used for. It was used for washing. It's a plant chemical that makes a natural detergent. Anyway, that's what you could do. Or like I said, you can boil up some water, put this in a big pot, crush it up, put it in a big pot, pour boiling water over it, let it set at least 12 hours, and you have a mild soap that you can see the suds are already breaking down. It's never going to get that big head of foam on top of it like you do from man-made materials, or not dishwashing, but like washing detergent. You're never going to get the huge mound of soap suds, and they don't last forever. They break down quite quickly. But like I said, you can see how well it suds up, and again, very mild cleaning. So that is Bouncing Bet. Use it to wash. Use it for a gentle wash. You can use it for as long as, like I said, I've never heard of anybody being allergic to it, but nowadays there seems to be a person that's allergic to everything. So give a little test on a baby and see. It's very gentle baby soap. If you have very sensitive hair or need more of a baby shampoo, this is actually going to be more gentle than a baby shampoo for washing your hair. And because you're washing it with softened water, you'd be amazed washing your hair with soft water and Bouncing Bet how soft your hair actually is when you're doing that after you get done with that. But Bouncing Bet or soapwort, nature's soap for us out east. You guys out west have your yucca that you can use for that.